Welcome to all the listeners. Once again, this is your host Shailesh from NZ World News, bringing you this our episodes called Real Connections, where we introduce you to people from all around the world, but particularly related to New Zealand, where we are based. And today, I have the pleasure to invite one of an esteemed guest with us, who is a multi-tasker, multi-talent, multi-educated, you can call it, and also achievements that she has achieved in her life is great that we are going to listen from her. So Dr. Sheerali is Arya, is a local New Zealander, but she also comes from different parts of the world. We will learn from her where she came from, what she is, and what are her achievements that she has achieved. So just a little bit brief about Dr. Sheerali Arya is she is a PhD in management, but she is an educator. So she has done a lot of passion for education in the education field. And she's also recently been mental health, which is one of the major focus of the world today, that everybody, human being, we talk about mental health, but a mental health is just comes with us. Whenever we are born, it's our mental health that we talk about. And whether we are child, whether we are adult, or whether we are at any age, it's our health and it's our mental well-being. So she has achieved some great feats in that field as well today. So which is going to be another topic that we will uncover. But today, what we are going to discuss with Dr. Arya is all about her life journey. It's a real connections for me to connect with her and to find a connection that she has done so many things, which we are going to talk about. So real connections is all about real talks, real wisdom, and real experience. And today we are not going to talk anything else other than the reality of a human that they achieve in their whole journey. And it's always fascinating to talk about every individual's real journey, what they achieve. So I can and you can all learn from it. Our guide, take it as a guide. We are not here, she's not here, or I'm not here to talk, to do this and do that. But it's always good, fascinating to learn from each other by just listening. So today we are going to once again invite Dr. Sheerali Arya. Welcome to our show, and it's a real pleasure. So let's start from how you first tell us what exactly you do, what are you into, and then where are you at this stage? And then we will dwell into more detail about the connections that you had with yourself from an early childhood to what we are today. Tell us.
Thank you, Shailesh. First of all, big thanks to you and New Zealand World News for inviting me, having me over to have this talk. I am working here in University of Waikato College as a senior tutor, and I teach different business subjects. And I'm also working with Open Polytechnic as a learning delivery adjunct. And previously, I have worked with Liverpool University of UK as an MBA thesis supervisor, with Annamalai University as PhD thesis evaluator, and with ICICI Bank back home in India. So I'm a banker. By That's my core profession, or yeah, my financial person as such. And then I started doing my PhD, and I've always had an interest in academics. And the reason for that, I'll go into a little bit later. And that's what led me to shift my career, a change from being a banker into education field. And I am very happy that I made the change. And I feel really content doing what I'm doing now. Apart from all these things, I'm a very keen volunteer. I do a lot of volunteering community work in UNICEF. I have been associated with UNICEF for over 15 years. Breast Cancer Foundation New Zealand, Student Pulse Mentor, and Roe Foundation for Crusade Against Drug. So multiple things, and migrant carrier support here in New Zealand. So a lot of things for the community, something that is very close to my heart. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I can see that now. What are you into? But tell us something. Well, let's take back to the life journey that we are going to talk today about. You is Was it as a childhood you were always wanting to be doing? Did you had something just like normal child? Everybody, parents ask, "What do you want to become? What do you
Yep.
want? What do you want?" What was your life in that stage, or were you quite independent in taking decisions and telling parents, "I want to become this," or is it the other way around? Tell us.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have a normal childhood, if to begin with. By not having a normal childhood, I mean that I come from Srinagar, Kashmir, which is a
Mhm. Yeah.
troublesome part of India. I would put it in that way. So there were some problems,
Hmm.
issues back in 80s, due to which our family had to, or our community rather, had to migrate from there. And I was only 9 years when that happened, and that migration caused a lot of physical trauma, mental trauma, and it's been a very, very difficult thing to
Sure.
get over. But still, I've not said or anyone has got over it, or I have got over it, but a learning came from there. So
Hmm.
that was one thing I was sure, or our community was very, very upfront, was about education. So
Hmm.
the importance of academics, which I was talking about earlier, or the importance of education, is what I learned at an early age, that if you are educated, if you know what you're doing, if you're knowledgeable, then you can start from scratch. So
Hmm.
even though we had lost everything, we were literally homeless for a long time, and it was more of a, like, what are we going to eat today? Do we have enough to eat today? Where are we going
Hmm.
to sleep today? So it was
Hmm.
that kind of situation for some
Hmm.
time, and then for a long time we were just not in a correct space. So it
Hmm.
took us over 2 years, and I am so grateful for the wonderful parents, the support which they had. So uh, for some years, we shifted to a city called as Bangalore eventually,
Mhm,
which is in the
mhm,
south of India. So that's where I did my most of my schooling. And again, over there, that's what I learned, that if education is the only thing which will set you free.
mm,
Yes, my parents had expectations, as I think every Indian parents do, that
mm,
it's you
of
need to
course.
focus on becoming a doctor, or you need to focus on becoming an engineer. But I had a lot of freedom as well from my parents.
Mm,
So, like, whether I wanted to pursue arts, whether I wanted to pursue dance, so they would always support you. You do whatever you want. However, compromising on education was never an option.
mm,
So
mm,
I was able to do my. I did a diploma in designing along
mhm.
with my bachelor's in art. So my
Right.
mom was supportive. So she's like, yeah, just go for it. My dad wasn't very keen at that time, but he was like, okay, if you want to dabble into it, but your end goal is do an MBA, do a PhD, or go into
Yeah.
those fields. So
Mhm,
yes, I pursued a diploma in designing, and then an MBA from Mumbai, and
mhm.
then a PhD. So the academic journey just continued, and it's in the school times when I learned the importance of giving back to the community.
Right.
And I think that stemmed from when we were like refugees or migrants.
Mhm,
We had a lot of people coming in to help us, to support us.
mm,
So
mm.
that was something, as a child, when you witness something like that, and it just
Absolutely.
ingrains in your brain forever, that yes, there are difficulties, but then at the same time, we need to focus on overcoming those difficulties.
Right.
So people helped us at that time, some
Mm,
of them. So now it's my turn, in whatever way I can, to
mm.
give back to the society, to the community. So all that volunteer work, whatever I have been doing, is from that school going age.
Amazing. Beautiful. As you can see, listeners, that she is not just rose to the challenges right from the childhood, where I could see when you have an environmental challenges, when you have circumstantial challenges, and then when you have your own family dynamics challenges, many challenges come along. But if you are determined and if you want to explore and excel out of that, you got to have a mindset
Yeah.
that would really change your own perspectives and change your own beliefs and system. So I'm really commendable for that. And I think just for the listeners, I want to mention here particularly that she has received multiple international awards, but one that really education that she was trying to tell us and focus on education which is so important in everyone's life in today. Education doesn't mean that just studying in four walls of one particular course or one particular thing, but educating yourself with all the surroundings and everything around you. And so she has been recently given an exceptional adult educator commendation from the mayor of Tauranga in New Zealand, basically. She also got the award. So let's talk about something about that. How did you and what did you do in that field after bringing that education background to New Zealand and then getting this recognition is a great thing, obviously. So tell something about that so that our listeners can listen that, your connections towards education, your connection towards the upbringing of yourself with the education is really what has probably brought you here to where you are. Tell me
Yeah.
something.
To talk about that point, Shailesh, I'll have to go a little bit back to give you a bit of a background
Mhm.
context to it. So, as I said, after doing my MBA, I got a direct campus placement. I was placed at the ICICI Bank,
Mhm.
and my parents were bankers.
All right.
So, yeah, they were bankers. So, they both were working in Punjab National Bank, which is one of the biggest
Yes. Yes.
government bank of India. And when you keep on talking about banking at home, so
Mhm.
that was kind of ingrained into me as well. So, when I got the offer, I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it.
Mhm.
I didn't see myself sticking to that banking role for a long time, but then I spent 12 years in it. I
Mhm.
worked for 12 years, and as I said, this inkling of getting my PhD and going into the academics was always there. And in between, I got married. I had my first kid. And then I was like, this is not a job which I can see doing up to the age of 60, 70, working in this. Because
Mhm.
banking is stressful. It was taking a lot of
Absolutely.
my time and
Yeah.
being very stressful mentally as well. However, I decided after my second son was born that time for a change. And that's where my husband came and he said that just start doing your PhD. I
Mm.
was a bit reluctant. I was like, how am I going to manage the kids, the job? And the younger one was just 6 months old. So he's
Right.
like, we'll take care. Don't worry. I had my mother in law with me. He's like, we'll all take care. You just start it.
Mm.
Now, that PhD thing which I started, so I went back into the field of academics or education after 12 long years,
Mm.
right? But what helped me, like I was initially very reluctant. I was like, can I do it? Like I had self-doubt.
Mm.
Then I realized, okay, I have 12 years of corporate experience and I want to do a PhD in management.
Mm.
Whatever I lack in terms of academics, my corporate experience will help me plug those holes, right? And
Yes.
I actually found doing PhD, then the coursework especially quite easy because I could now relate
Mm.
up to MBA. When you're studying, you're just mugging up or you're just listening to theoretical stuff and maybe a bit of a practical experience.
Right.
However, if you're doing a PhD after having a work experience,
Mm.
you're much able to relate to those concepts in a much easier and simpler way. So
Yeah.
that's what happened, and the PhD went down like as usual. The ups and downs happen in PhD as well, but I did pretty well in that. And when I came to New Zealand, when I started applying or teaching those business papers to the students, I
Mm.
could actually give them real examples. I
Mm.
worked with Trust Power, now it's called as Mercury, in
Mm.
New Zealand for a year, and I could tell them, how the Indian culture of
Mm.
working is different from the Kiwi culture, and then
Absolutely.
the good and the bad points, the advantages, practical examples.
Yeah.
So I think those things the students really found interesting.
Mm.
Coming from someone who's already faced those or I knows about that, and not just talking about the
Mm.
theoretical aspects. So
Correct.
that connection was something which was liked by the directors of the college, liked by the students. So they gave pretty good positive feedback. And one thing led to the other, and I was nominated for this award.
Mm.
And I was received a commendation award from the mayor himself. So that was one of the highlights. And apart
Mm.
from that, there have been several awards on the way uh,
Mm-hmm.
from UK and from New Zealand and from other countries and publications. But the core or the foundation of that would be a balanced mix of the corporate and the academic knowledge. I think that is very, very important. And students nowadays, they just want to know the reality. They
mm.
just don't want to be read the books and get knowledge out of it.
So I want to touch here very a little bit of dynamics of acceptance, as you said, like you were helped by your family, you're helped by your surrounding, but it's one thing is you get a help, second thing is you accept the help, and that's the key thing. Like, do you want to accept the help, or do you want to ask for help? And these are all the challenges as a human being we face, and sometimes in that fear of not accepting or not asking, we make decisions and then we come to where we are, basically.
True.
In that regard, tell us something that how did you as a change your perspectives in life? Like, okay, yes, you had kids, you had family to handle, but then you also had the inner talent, but then you had a support from your family, husband that you mentioned, but then seeking help from such avenues is also a challenge. How did
Yep.
you manage to, how tell us the listeners that it's okay to do anything and everything as a human, rather than sitting with your own egos and thinking that I can't do
Uh,
this and I
yeah,
should not.
that can happen. Yep. Yeah.
That's why.
See, the first thing is having self motivation. That's one thing
Mm,
that I feel that no matter who motivates you, no matter who tells you, it could be the closest person to your parents or your spouse or your siblings or your kids. But unless you have that fire in your belly of
yeah.
your own, then it's very difficult to succeed. And once you have that fire in your belly, it ignites your mind. That's how I put it.
Mm,
You ignite your mind and you start seeing things more clearly. Now,
mm,
I do know that women are like they are natural multitaskers. We are,
yeah.
that's how we are wired up, right? But there comes a time when you need to look back and you want to see or analyze yourself. Do I really want to be a superwoman? Or
Mm,
do I really want to be a woman who is able to like have fun as well?
mm,
Okay,
mm,
so there was a phase when I was trying to be superwoman, doing everything on my own, taking care of everything professionally or personally. But then when a time came, especially after the second kid, I was like, what do I want to do? I always tend to set a little bit longer, long-term goals is what I call it, a little bit long, not like 10 years, 15
mm,
years, but
mm,
maybe 3 a year, 3 years down the line. Do I see myself continuing to work in the bank? Do
mm,
I want to have some more time with my kids? Like, what is it that and is my heart into it? And the banking thing, my mind was into it. I was good at it, but my heart wasn't into it.
right.
Now, if I want to do something in which my heart is there, that
Mm,
means I have to upskill myself, right? Because I need to do something. And if I looked around the different universities in the world, they were like very clear. They want PhD people. Now,
mm,
to get to that PhD thing with young kids at home, with
mm,
family responsibilities, and I was working as well. Like I did my PhD along with the job. So I was like, no, I need help.
mm.
And when my husband said on his own that, yep, I don't think this is a sustainable job for you. You need to slow down and why don't you explore this? He didn't thrust it on me. He's like,
Yeah.
why don't you explore this or why
Explore.
don't you explore that? I was like, yeah, let's give it a go. Let's give it a time frame. Like let me try it for the initial 3 months.
Mm,
So long-term goal, doing their PhD, but then breaking that into smaller milestones. Let's
yes.
give it a try for 3 months, 3 months of coursework. I had to travel to the university for studying, and
Mm,
then 3 more months, and then 3 more months. And with that, the 3, 4 years just passed away with those milestones and,
mm,
achieving the shorter goals. But I don't think there is any ego or any shame to ask your own family members.
mm,
That's the first thing, because any good family will support you. So
mm.
in that way also, I have been lucky. My mother-in-law and my father-in-law, they were very, very supportive of
Sure, sure.
my career.
Mm,
So
mm,
they were always supportive of, yeah, you should go ahead, you should not. At the
mm,
same time, I as a mom or as a daughter-in-law, as a wife, I did feel as a daughter as well. I had responsibilities.
mm,
So it was tough. I will not say that, oh, it was a breeze. Now, no problem. It was tough. It was very tough, to
mm,
be honest. And there were times when I was like, should I just give up? Should I just
Mm.
leave everything and should I just
Right.
just continue what I was doing? I was at least in a comfort zone
Yes.
working, and then I was like, okay, if I sit in the comfort zone,
Mm.
I will be comfortable, but will I be happy?
Yeah.
But so if I have to be happy, if I have to do where my heart is, I will have to struggle for a while. So
Mm.
let's struggle for a while so that we can reap the benefits at a later stage. So
Right.
lots of heartbreaks, lots of tears. But I think one thing which really, really works for me and which I would really suggest, especially women, self motivation.
Mm. Mm. Sure.
Don't wait for anyone else to come and motivate you. Just
Sure.
think about yourself, think
Mm.
about what you want, and think about where your heart is.
Mm. And that's the hard part. Like sometimes people struggle that they have choices at any point of time. They do have choices, but then they are fail to understand what are hard choices, what are easy choices according to
Yep.
them and according to their own ways of looking things. They struggle. Oh, this is hard, too much for me. I can't do it.
Yep.
Oh, this is too easy. I can still do it. But then those choices define you where you want to go because the directions of your journey always is your choices. As you said, self motivation, your own kind of resonation. So for you making those choices, one acceptance of your help from the in-laws, but also taking that hard choices of going back to study, or that's a hard choice at any point of your life. But education is your passion. But how do you make those education as your passion is another topic that we could dwell on. But the question is, as a normal human being, if you ask me as well, like, okay, I can do several things. I have got many things I want to do. But what are the things that I really want to do or really matters to me at this point of time? And that's the decision, is the hard decision that you want to take because of your fear, because of your lack of knowledge, because of your lack of uncertainty. All those things play a role. Tell me and take me to somewhere of your journey where you took all these decisions of educating yourself first, but then also managing at the same time the needs of the at that time, whether looking after the family, looking after the parents and kids and all sorts of things, also balancing that. How did you balance this, all of that?
Well, I have one what do we call that saying or I'll come to that saying in a bit. The balancing part is something which you need to first of all, as I said, the long term, short term goals thing,
Yeah,
right? So you need to set up priorities,
yeah,
and that priorities can something be in a day as well. Now
sure.
that's something which took me a way to or a little bit while to understand, few years to understand
Mm.
that if today is my, like, for example, we had this interview, right? So there's
Yeah,
something I need to prep for it. So what is my priority of the day? Yes, I need to cook for the kids. Yes, I need to do that work, but I have to order it into number one, number two, number three,
right,
right?
sure.
And I was a person who used to get, like upset even if the smallest things weren't perfect. I'm being honest with you. Like, I
Yes,
was that
understand.
OCD perfectionist type of a person. But
Mm,
then I realized that do I need everything to be perfect? If it's
mm.
good, I think it's good. Because
Yeah.
in that perfection, I'm losing my mind. The kids are not happy. My husband's not happy. So is perfection important or is happiness important?
Yeah.
So balancing came from that experience. So I did, there were a lot of times when, I would drive myself crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when the mental health part
Right.
interest started coming from that I
Mm,
was unhappy. But
mm.
honestly, I was unhappy. And that was a time, when we had decided to move to New Zealand as well. And
Right.
we were trying to do too many things at the same time, juggle up too many things. And it
Mm,
was like, okay, from now onwards, each day, it's not just the month or the week. I'm just going to break it down day by day. What is
mhm.
my priority for today? So if
Right.
I'm having this agenda, this is how it will go. And second thing, a pre planning.
Mm,
When I mean to say pre-planning, for example, I teach 3 papers in business in the university, right? I need to prep for the classes. I can't prep on the day I'm teaching. So I prep during the term break.
mm.
The term break is would be like, a month or two before the actual classes start.
Sure.
And all I have to do is when I go into teaching, I just have to see, or go through the content to understand what's going
Mhm.
on. But a bit of a pre-planning, prioritizing your work on a daily basis, and
Mm.
you need to have some time for yourself, me time.
Me time. Yeah.
It could be as simple as sitting on a chair. It could be just taking a long luxurious shower. It could be reading a book. And that is also something which I have learned after all my experiences of ups and
Mhm.
downs, that I need some me time. I have multiple roles. Yes, I will do all of them, but I have a sense of duty for myself as well.
Yes.
So that's something I do now. So, and to break the screen habit, before going to the bed, looking at the mobiles or the TV, start reading a book. I am a big book lover. I used to read a lot of books, and
Mm.
that habit somehow got taken away.
Of course.
So now I'm back to that. So before sleeping, and I read a book. And the good thing about that habit is that kids imitate parents. I would say that the parents are examples for the kids. Now the kids have started reading
Mm.
books before their bedtime rather than watching TV or on the screens. So,
Yeah.
but it's all about balancing. But you got to be mentally very very tough,
Mm.
and you got to be like so tough that you need to. And if it's okay, like there was a time, Shailesh, when things were getting really really
Hmm.
burdensome for me,
Yeah.
and I sought assistance from EAP, that's Employee Assistance Program,
Yeah.
where they counsel you and they help you to understand. So I sought help over there,
Mm.
because here in New Zealand, the good thing is
Yes.
issues like assistance, health, mental
Yes.
health, they are not looked down upon. That
Absolutely. Absolutely.
they don't look down upon on that. So that those sessions helped me,
Mm.
and that's where I thought, okay, let's learn more about this particular part.
Mm.
Let's learn about mental health and try to help others as well.
No, that's great. That's great. And that's what we were talking about before when I said every country has got its own challenges. Every country has its own system. And New Zealand is definitely one of the things where you can seek help and you can give help and you can do.
Yep.
So, and coming just touching on that, your like love for reading. You have published a book. You are an author of a book,
Yes.
basically, I would say, which is published by Green in Germany,
Yep.
which is awesome. And tell me, take us through something that because your education is not just turned into something that you have managed to turn into something, which is great. People do take education, but they don't like to spread their knowledge and they just keep it for themselves. Here you are educating yourself, but also taking the what you call it, educational award, leadership award, certifying yourself, but then also publishing book. That's his whole part and parcel of the whole 9 yards of what we call it
Yep.
education,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is really, really, I was really impressed with that. So I thought, no, I'm gonna ask you, and then I will come back to that next last question where I will talk about more about to do all of this, how is your mental health? That's my last question. But tell me about this authoring a book with your knowledge, with your reading, with your love for interest in reading
Yep.
books and accepting. So when you read books, obviously there are written books by many authors, many people. That means you are accepting all of those and you are trying to understand and learn from those. So tell us about that. How did you love that? And how did you manage to write that
Yep.
basically? And what did you write really in that author as an author?
Yep. So my love for the books is from my childhood. So that's something my dad made me
Mhm.
got me into that habit. I would say, he would say that you read a book and I'll give you a chocolate. you know? So that was the,
That
and we
was
didn't have
right.
social media back then, right? We didn't
Of
have
course. Of
television,
course.
and when the migration happened, we didn't even have any places to play around. Fun for
Mhm.
fun. Where would kids go? So my dad would get me books, and we used to live in a very shanty one room house, which
Mhm.
not even
Mhm.
one room house. It was a one room which
Mm.
had no bathroom, no kitchen. So in that single room of maybe 10 by 10, we had the kitchen on one side, we had the bathroom, which was a common bathroom. So I was upset as a child. I was 9 years. So my happy corner, happy time would be when I would be reading books. because I
Wow.
would go into this fantasy land, or I would, go into a different world. I
Mm,
could imagine happy things. So that's where the love for the book started. So I liked reading even comic books, doesn't matter, like, comic books and all those type of books, just to understand the writing of different people, the thought process, the vocabulary. So you name it, I would go into that. And gradually I started, reading more of fiction, non-fiction, which
mm,
I still do, to understand what's going on around the world.
mm,
And that's when I did my PhD, my thesis, and my thesis was based upon the banking industry service quality management. And I
mm,
was interested to know about the technological part of it, how technology can help you getting you a competitive edge. So that's what my book was about, an amalgamation of that. And it was published by Grin Publications, Germany, as you
mhm.
mentioned. And it was awarded as the one of the best banking books of all times.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awarded that by Book Authority, which is actually a website which gets recommendations from the likes of
Sure.
Elon Musk and Warren Buffett and stuff. So
Mhm,
those people recommend. So I was very happy when that happened.
mm,
And then I'm still in the process of writing another book.
mhm.
Just need some time to get that cleaned up, to make it publication ready. And I do those poetry and stories as well as on the
Right.
side. So that,
Creativity.
yeah, I've got couple of, not couple, I've actually got 3 to 4 publications and a book published
Mhm.
on my collection as well. So yeah, I'm just trying to live those 9 yards. And I think the thing which you said about spreading the knowledge,
Yes.
now
Yes.
that is very, very important for me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That is very important, because keeping things in yourself, that I know these things, nobody else knows. Like,
Correct.
try to have that ego. Like,
Correct.
I have been mentoring people, and I think that comes from the fact that when I went into the work, I had some good mentors, and I wouldn't be here without people who guided me.
Mm-hmm.
You need
Mm-hmm.
to share the knowledge, and that's how the world grows. And you just make it better and better.
Sure. Sure. So that's really awesome. So that book was basically mainly on banking sector,
Yeah,
that your experiences were all shared in that book.
customers' experiences.
Customers' experiences. Oh,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Something like, which is also my favorite subject, being into finance and business. I always love banking. And so we probably should do a topic on banking one day.
Yeah, sure.
Because this is, I think this is the need of all the listeners who are listening. You can see how important banking is in our day-to-day life, and how important it is to really understand the banking terminologies, the banking things that affect you every single time, no matter whether you think it may not affect you, but it does affect you.
It does. It
And,
does.
and that's something that we will definitely like to uncover more of that and explore more of that from Dr. Shirali. But coming back to the final roundup thing that I wanted to ask you was like, after achieving today in the education sector, getting the awards, getting the works published, and as you said rightly, sharing the knowledge is the most important thing that any human can do, which I strongly, strongly encourage all the listeners, that you may be knowing many things that we don't know, but are you sharing that? That's the question you need to ask. It doesn't matter who you share with. It doesn't matter what you get in sharing out of it. Sharing is absolutely important, because that's what you have gained. That's what you will take with you. Everything else doesn't matter, because it remains here, what you have created. But what you have shared, what you have gained knowledge in your mind, is absolutely, that's the thing you will take with you. So on that, and that why I'm saying this, that is your mental health. And I'm coming back to this last question of
Yeah.
yours, mental health. You are an NZ certified mental health as well. That's what you have written in your profile, which is really fascinated me, that I get more opportunity to talk about mental health, because mental health is so important. And when we talk about mental health, it's not about just our mind. It's about the topics that we discuss. It's about the words that we talk to each other. It's about all the vocabulary that we want to interact with. And that's really affects our mental health.
Yep.
Because, and that is something that I wanted to just dwell on this last thing that you have also achieved in this little journey of yours. I mean, you have achieved a lot in short time, I could say, with all the challenges. So tell me and take me through this. How did you discover that, okay, now this is, I want to get this certification, or I want to get certified, or it is important for me to dwell on this topic called mental health? Take,
Yep.
take us through that.
So, as I said earlier, Shalish, that when and I, as a mom or as a professional, I used to face this, the times when I would break down or I feel that this is it, I can't handle anymore.
Yeah.
And then, as an educator or as a teacher, I would see my students affected, but I had an outlet. I could speak about it to my manager or to my husband. But I knew there were a lot of international students, especially, who didn't speak about such things.
Mm.
Especially during COVID time, we all know what happened during COVID. There was a lot of mental health issues around, especially among the students.
Right.
They were like clammed up. They did not, they wanted to go home but they could not go. They had the stress of the studies. Many of them lost their jobs in the COVID time, so that
Mm.
financial burden, and it used to break my heart seeing the students in that way. But I was not equipped to help them. I could only listen to them, or I could only just offer some suggestions, but
Mm.
I did not know whom to send them to, whom to refer to them, or what was the correct procedure of helping them, because these are very sensitive issues, right?
Absolutely.
So the same thing when I came to the university, that thing continued. I could see our domestic students, our international students, or some of my colleagues, like we could just from the face I could make out that they want to talk but they don't know how to talk, and I want to talk but I do not know how to talk.
Mm.
So, and then the university came with this professional develop initiative for the staff to get
Mhm.
certified in mental health, and I volunteered for it. I was like, yes, I want to do it. I am keen to do it. So I
Mm.
got that done. So now I have that ammunition, or I have those things available that when something of this kind happens, I at least know how I should approach a person, what needs to be spoken to the person, and what kind of guidance and what kind of help can be given to them. Because
Sure.
we treat physical health, if I'm injured like this, you would ask me, how am I? And you would take care of me, and you would do 10 things for me. But as soon as somebody hears about a mental health, people clam up and they say, oh,
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
person. So, and that's a stigma. I think that's a very unfortunate stigma still
Mm.
worldwide, and
True.
I'm trying to break that stigma.
True.
I'm trying to say that, look, it's okay.
Mm.
It's just something which can be treated, which can be helped. And if no one is there to help or hear you, the first thing is just hearing, listening to a person.
Mm.
I'm there. So that's something, stemming from the past experiences and stemming from that, this understanding that how important it is to break the stigma. And it is not a stigma, it's just like a physical health issue, mental health issue.
Mm.
Treat it at par.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I thought that, if I'm a little bit like people, some of the students may look up to me. So if I talk openly about it, so they would be encouraged to talk about it as well, and things can be normalized.
Mm. Mm. Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, in terms of your life journey that we have been talking, as listeners, we can see Dr. Sheerali has done so many things in her life, but also you must have done so many things which you can now reflect and see where to from here. So I need to ask Dr. Sheerali, how do you keep your mind in terms of, after speaking to you about the mental health, and well-being is the prime important things, and well-being can be defined by every individual in a different format.
Yep.
For you, what's the well-being wow factor that you are going to carry from here, so that no matter whatever future is uncertain, you will be hit back, you will be hit back with lots of unknown things,
Yep.
but you are prepared for it today. Tell us something about that. How do you make those management of, not the management of PhD that you did, but the management
Yeah.
of mental health. How do you do that? So that,
There is that saying which I was talking about earlier,
yeah,
that this too shall pass.
yeah,
There
sure.
was a, like, a thing asked by a person that tell me one line,
Hmm.
that whether you tell it to a sad person, he will
Mm,
become happy, and if you tell it to a happy person, he will become sad. What is that one line? So
mm,
that one line is, this time too shall pass.
mm,
Okay. So whenever I feel down,
mm.
I'm like, okay, this is a phase.
Right.
Life is a roller coaster.
Mm,
So if there is an down, there will be an up. And I keep on telling all these proverbs to myself. The candle burns the brightest towards the end, and there is a light out the tunnel, silver lining, you name it. So when
mm,
you look at those things, and for me, the greatest source of motivation as of now are my kids. So when they look up to me, and when they see me sad, or grappling with something, they want to know, because they are at that age now when they understand things. So I cannot just tell them, oh, I have a headache or something. So I discuss these things with them. I tell them that, like, these things happen. This is how you should approach it, or this is how you can, and you can be open with me, you can talk with me, anything. So when you do these little things, and another thing which I would definitely recommend is using both your left brain and right brain.
mm,
So
mm,
left brain, right brain means, there is a part of a brain which is logical, and
mm,
it thinks about facts and figures, but there is a part of your brain which is creative,
mm.
right? So when the academics gets too much for me, I write a poem. Or
Right.
when I'm too much into the fantasy world, or thinking about these books and fiction, I go and write a research paper. So
Mm,
it kind of balances the things out, because you need to use your both the brains and keep yourself active.
mm, mm,
Active doesn't mean that, like, you just do work, and do you feel productive at the end of the day?
mm,
Do
mm,
you feel that you have achieved something at the end of the day?
mm.
Right? So those things, when you keep on thinking about them and actually doing it, and you don't have to do it in a big way, long-term goals.
Yeah.
Set up
Mm,
daily milestones.
mm, mm.
That's it.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's good. That's awesome. And finally, on that note, I wanted to ask you and explore your talent with regard to the creativity brain that you have. Is not just writing books on serious stuff like banking or serious
No,
stuff
no, no, no.
that matters to us, but more about, like, how you're balancing that same mental health or same mindset with your creativity, like writing poets and
Yep,
getting happiness or getting satisfied with your mind, body, and soul, as we call it. By just listening to music, we feel good. By
yep,
just playing cricket, we feel good. Or sports, we feel good. Or even just wandering around in the nature, we feel good.
yep,
And that's something as really, which comes back to that creativity of whether you walk in a nature or whether you walk in your own comfort zone. It's your own creation. It's your
yep.
own creativity. Creativity doesn't have to be just writing books or writing stories or poetries,
Can be anything.
but singing.
Absolutely anything. Yep.
So this is something that I wanted to know. Tell us something. What's your poetries are like, or what's your creativity side of it? Like, is it more related to the human mind, nature, or is it more related to the dream world or the
No,
imagination
no, no.
world?
No, I think my poems are mainly relationship oriented.
All right.
Humans, yeah. So I like one of my poems I remember, which I wrote after my dad passed away.
Uh-huh.
So that poem just still brings tears to my eyes, and it that poem actually got some awards as well. One of
Right.
the highly
Mm,
publicized poems. So
mm,
it's all about emotions. I'm a very people person.
sure.
I like interacting with people. I like talking with people, understanding, their way of thinking, and family is something which will always be close to me. So my
Sure.
poetry is more of an expression of my emotions towards different relationships, and it's just an outlet for me.
Mm,
And
mm,
an outlet can be, as you said, it can be in multiple ways.
correct.
Can
Correct.
be and it definitely needs to be pursued if you want to keep your mind free of negativity.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's brilliant, Shirali. That's brilliant.
I'll
I,
share my poetry with you. You can
Please
have
do.
it.
Please do.
I'll
Please
share it.
do so. Please do so. And we will definitely have another topic of creativities with regards to the poetries, and that would really resonate with lots of people. But I think expressing yourself when an incident happens in your life, it's so important to express, because that's where you really find yourself a good peace, as you said. Like, you still don't forget those moments, you
Yep.
still don't forget those incidents, and that is something really, really good. Because I think, to all the listeners who are listening, and at least to me, I can resonate with that thought, that when you said that, you don't forget incidents, but you also don't forget to express those incidents in,
Yep.
in, in that real terms. So this is exactly what we talk about with real people. Listeners, this is once again, I'm asking you all to give us your feedback with this story of Dr. Sheerali Arya, that she has come today to visit and talked about her own life journey. But I'm sure you must have learned and you must have guided something out of her leaf that she has shared today. And I think sharing is the most key thing which I take from this conversation, Doctor, that it is so important to share your knowledge and experience. But also, one thing I have noticed in this whole conversation, that you can achieve everything and anything that you would like to, in spite of your circumstances that you may be into, whether you are not, and you blame the circumstances, you blame the incidents and all those things happening around you, and we try to make an excuse out of it. But here is a thing that I can find today: Dr. Sheerali has found an excuse to excel from those exceptions,
Yes.
to go towards a positive outcome,
Yeah.
rather than an outcome saying that, okay, negativity, I can't do it, and I am not into that, or I won't be able to do it because of my situation and circumstances. Rather than that excuse, you have come out of that excuse and said that, no, in spite of that, I can do it and we can do it. So here is a positive note to all the listeners: we all can be, do what we want to, irrespective of your circumstances. The only way to do that is seeking help and asking help. And there is no shame or ego in that. That's what I learned from today, which is so important for our well being, because then we are not suppressing our feelings, even not suppressing our expressions. And that's something that I've learned with these real connections with the Dr. Sheerali Arya today. Thank you so much for this. Just on the note, final message: what will be your final message to the audiences who are listening to take out of this? And as a woman, as a person who has gone into the education, but it's not about just education, because you have achieved and multiple things in multiple things you are doing. Give us your final message to the audience.
I think as a woman and as a general person, that whenever you want to do something, but something is holding you back, it could be as simple as, you want to apply for a job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to see that, should I apply? Do I apply, or what do I do? Just think with this thing, which I always think, what's the worst that can happen? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what's the worst? The worst thing is that there will be a no. Okay, you'll be rejected, or you
Yeah.
may not succeed. But what if it works? Imagine
Mm-hmm.
the consequences or the benefits of that. Okay, so if you go with that mindset, what's the worst that can happen? Right? So when that will clarify all your doubts. So yes, there would be a negative, but what if there is not negative and you actually get selected? So give it a try. At least, this is the reason, Shailesh, when we came to New Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
I came with baggage kids, like at an age when people are generally settled. They don't
Yes.
want to take any. And I came from very comfortable position. So again, I broke that comfort zone and I came.
Mm.
Because the mindset was, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, you go to New Zealand, we'll try for a few years, doesn't happen, we'll come back. But look,
Beautiful.
what led one thing to another.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure that you should be willing to work hard. There is no substitute for working hard. And
Absolutely.
the only way you can reach success and, be happy in your heart. I
Mm.
keep on repeating that thing, happiness in the heart, very important, is if you do hard work.
Mm.
And you will, hard work plus smart work, obviously. I would add that word, smart work, but you
Mm.
will succeed for sure.
So just on that, my 2 cents here, and you can correct me. I would love to know more from you on that. But hard work, people get bogged down when people talk
Mm.
about hard work, and they think, "Oh, what does hard work? I don't want to do hard work, or I don't want to go." And to me, what I've understood from hard work is we talk the word hard work, but actually
Mm.
hard work is nothing but keep trying
Yep.
everything that you can and then leave the consequences to the universe. That's what I see. Hard work means keep trying. Because if you don't keep trying, then that's not a hard work. That's you are trying to expect something will fall on your lap without doing anything.
Yep.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong. Does that hard work for the audiences just to give them a perspective? What is hard work? You said absolutely right. Like you came up with all sorts of comforts and everything, but also a new perspective, new country, and now you have achieved everything. It's not because when you say hard work means because you kept changing those perspectives and
Yep.
dynamics of your mindsets. Does that answer? Does that my
Uh, I would
or
say
you
when I
can
talk about
explain.
hard work, I don't mean work for 18 hours a day.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah,
my
yeah.
perception of hard work. You
Mm,
need to be, that's why I added that word smart work,
yeah.
right? So you need to work hard in the area where you know what's your strength.
Mm,
Especially, let's say
mm,
that for people my age, by now I know what's my strength, what's my weakness. So I know this is I'm good in business field, in the management field. So I worked hard in my field
mm,
and
mm,
I kept on trying. So coming to New Zealand as an immigrant, you're
mm.
on a visa to begin with. I faced multiple job rejections, maybe more than two to
Absolutely.
three hundred job
Yeah, yeah,
rejections.
yeah. Absolutely.
And I was like, oh, I come with a PhD background. Oh, I come with, IELTS 7 or 8 score. I
Mm,
come with 12 years of banking. Where am I going wrong?
mm, mm,
Okay.
mm,
So
mm,
you need to have that, I would say the guts to know that even though you may think you are the best or you are good, you
mm,
actually may not be. So you need to find that pinpoint that weakness and you need someone to look at you objectively
mm,
and
mm,
say that this is what you're missing. So I again sought help at that time from career counselors, academic counselors that tell me where am I going wrong? How do I improvise? There's no shame in asking that, as I
absolutely.
said. And they were very kind to help me. I've been very fortunate, Shari, that whenever I have sought help, I
Sure.
have got it. And that's the reason I like to help back as well, because it's so important to share the knowledge. And
Yeah.
ultimately, after struggling or getting to those job interviews, taking time for that, I landed the good job, and I came to know that what I was missing. It was in my CV, and that's a different discussion
Of
altogether.
course, of course.
But you need to be open to that, for constructive criticism. You need to be
Mm,
open for that. You need to seek feedback yourself. You need to
yes,
be proactive. So
yes.
that's one thing which I learned in New Zealand, that people here do like if you're proactive. Ask them that, this is what I want.
Absolutely,
Tell
absolutely.
me, how do I go about it?
Mm, mm.
So
No, brilliant,
hard
brilliant.
work in hard and smart work in your strength area of strength. So identification of that strength is something a whole topic altogether. But yeah,
But I
that's what
think,
I think.
no, no, you're absolutely spot on that. Rightly said. So, listeners, you can see what exactly she was trying to portray to us is what she has managed and how she has done it. But also importantly, is like seeking help, exploring yourself, raising the questions for yourself rather than someone else is the
Yep,
key. And taking that first step is yourself, not asking someone to take the first step, because the
yep,
first step is only you. What you want is only you know what you want, and only you can ask those questions or raise those questions that are unanswered for you. And but you can seek those answers from various areas. So once again, thank you so much, Dr. Shirali, for this sharing of your knowledge and wisdom with us. As always, New Zealand World News always try to bring people from all walks of life and sharing their real experiences and their real talk. It's a real talk with their real experiences and real sharing of wisdoms. And today we were lucky to have Dr. Sheerali Arya to share her wisdom. And as she said, she is one of those who resonates with our show, that to like to share and to have that. Absolutely, thank you so much. We are humbled, and we will definitely bring you back on different topics as you have got discovered today. We have got numerous different fields of knowledge that you can share. And
Anytime.
we would be more keen to do that. So once again, thank you very much, Dr. Shirali. And
Thank you.
we say you good now, goodbye for now, but we will bring you back. All the listeners, once again, we'll see you later. And please do write to us and do write your comments and do ask any questions that you seek. Or if you need some questions to be answered by Dr. Sheerali Arya, she's more
Sure.
than happy and welcome to answer your questions, but also make those transitions for you and make you one of those pathways that, as she's an educator, and she's a leadership in education as well. So all those, and plus the mental health. So I think we are lucky to have all those three ingredients in one show. Once again,
Anytime. The pleasure is all mine, Shailesh. Thank you so much. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
Bye for now, listeners, and we will